Welcome back to Hot Pizza Ass. I'm your host, Erin Darling Taralva, and today we have a really special episode. I have my friend Erica Rhodes, who is an accomplished stand-up comedian. You can check out her album Sad Lemon right now on all streaming platforms. She's also an actress and a writer, and we've collaborated before on projects, so we're going to give you guys some advice on what it's like to pitch and write projects with your friends without going insane. We also talk a lot about love and loss, and it gets to be a really emotional journey, and I hope you guys are ready for that today because there is so much love and so much value in this episode. I had a blast recording it. Thank you so much, Erica, for joining, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. Enjoy. Before we start this episode, I want to ask you guys to put me on pause for 1 second and go to iTunes and review this podcast. It is completely free. It takes a few seconds of your time, and it's all I ask if you enjoy these episodes and if you find value in the content that I'm making. It helps me endlessly and gives me the motivation to keep going and making content for you guys. Thank you so much, and without further ado, here is Erica Rhodes.
My first question for you is, does every interview that you do, like assuming it's not with a podcaster that you know, does it always start with Prairie Home Companion?
Almost always, yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah, they always ask me about it, and I'm so, yeah, I mean, I guess it's because it's how I got my start. So they're like, let's go to the beginning, you know?
Yeah, for real. Is there anything that happened on that show that you haven't told an interviewer?
I'm sure there are a lot of different things. I mean, let me think of one. Well, I've told that story. Trying to think. Well, I haven't talked that much about the fact that Alison Janney was on the first show I ever did.
She was?
Yeah. And she was really nice to me, and we shared a dressing room. And I've probably told this on a podcast before, but like, I just remember thinking, this lady is so nice. I had just this feeling like she had something really special. And then way later, she, got super successful. I just remember like my first experience with her was really good, and she shared her dressing room with me, and she taught me my first vocal warm up, like mame mi mamu, mama, and so I just remember like, oh, she was, really sweet. And later I, worked with Meryl Streep and Martin Sheen, but I wasn't a kid anymore, so I was a little bit more like starry-eyed about them.
Yeah.
But or not starry-eyed, but just more like intimidated. But as a kid, I was just like, who's this special lady with Alison Janney?
How many years did you do the show?
Probably like, let's see, I started when I was 10, so probably like, 25 years.
What?
On and off.
Oh
yeah,
my
but
God.
it wasn't like every weekend. I was like a guest on it, so he would just be like, basically every time I got fired from a waitress job, he'd be like, come do the show. I was always fired from, like, I tried to have, other jobs, and I just wasn't good at anything. So
yeah, so comedy
so,
is the
yeah, my
thing.
fallback, yeah.
But look, like, you've done so much with comedy. Like, you released an album, which is incredible, and you just filmed another special in the pandemic. And I was there. I think people know that we're like friends. That we're
I know. I was like,
friends.
you're being so interviewee.
I know. I'm like, people know, right? They do. But yeah, I mean, that was such a surreal experience, like seeing you do your special in the pandemic.
Yeah, that was crazy. I had no idea what it was going to be like, because it was also my first show for Cars, like
For
later
Cars.
yeah, for Cars, because later I did shows for Cars, but so it's not like I got to practice or anything. I just was thrown into the situation. And thankfully I was doing Zoom shows, and I was doing other shows, so that I wasn't completely out of shape, and I remembered how to say words. But overall it was different,
Yeah. Did you feel insecure, like doing the special, doing your material, and not getting instant laughter feedback in real time?
Well, thank God you were there because I think you were a really good laugher. I was like, there were a couple of times I was like, I think that was Aaron.
I tried to be really loud, you know, you're
You
in your
were
car, so
really
you got to
good.
laugh louder.
You have to. It was really weird because it was like I could hear pockets of laughter. So I'd like, and sometimes I would think a joke would bomb. And then I'd suddenly hear like the honking from the back. And then the honking would just like take over. And I was like, oh, I guess that joke landed when I thought it had bombed. So it was very like strange, just timing wise. I kind of had to like wait for the laughs.
I think as a comic, you kind of get used to silence sometimes. And sometimes you're like, oh God, that's awkward. Like you feel weird about it. But it made me realize that it's really not that awkward because it's your material. You've done it before. You know that it's good. You're here at this point to where you're actually doing a special. So you have all this like backlog of validation, but in the moment, it's like, whoa, this is just not how it normally feels. So it can be like kind of off. But I remember seeing you do it and I was like, oh, like she's crushing.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't
Yeah.
ever see you like drop out, you know what I mean? Where you're just where you get concerned. Like I never saw that in you.
Oh, that's good because I mean, I've only heard the rough cuts so far. So I haven't heard the sound mixed. And so some of it sounds like I'm like, I'm not hearing laughter enough yet, but they still have to mix the sound. So I think, you know, once they put it all together, it'll work. It's just the first listen was like, this is not how it's supposed to sound. You know,
Yeah, for real.
but I think once they mix it, it'll be good.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I watched the rough cut like maybe 3 months ago, but I think it'll come out in April.
Oh, yay. And
Yeah.
you filmed it in April, right?
Oh my God, no, it was July.
Oh, was it? Okay, I was about to say, oh
I don't think it's
man.
been a full year. Yeah.
Okay, I was like, I thought that it was at the very beginning of the pandemic, but my whole mind is like,
Oh
time
my
went by
God,
really fast, but also
time.
really slow.
Yeah, there's like time is really strange right now.
Yeah. So, what's it like doing shows on the road right now?
Um, it's weird. It's like, you know, it just feels amazing to have real people, you know? Like Zoom just isn't the same. You don't feel that sort of heightened like connection. You feel kind of
Mhm.
like, are you guys hearing this? Like, I always feel like I have to yell and like lean in, like, hey, hi to Zoom, but like in real life, you're just like, oh, we're all, you know, we're here. And like, I know everyone's like, is everyone wearing masks? And it's like, yeah, they wear masks to come in and then they sit down far away from each other. You know, everyone's seated far away from each other. We don't do any meet and greets. I'm far away on the stage. Like, it feels pretty safe, you know? I know
Yeah.
everyone's freaked out by it, but I've been doing it like on and off the whole time. And I also really think I already had like my in my head I'm like I think I had it because I think if I didn't have it I would have had it by now. Knock on wood.
When did you think you had it?
In March. Remember when like the day after we took those baths?
Oh, yeah.
Not to say anything bad. I don't think I got it from the baths, but like we took those Aaron and I went and we got baths like it was like the cleansing thing. And then the next day I was so sick. And
Yeah.
we had just bought all the toilet paper, so it was like, you know, it was right at it was at the beginning of it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that day. That was a really scary time at the very, very beginning of it before things got locked down. But it was like, it was looking like they were going to, and no one knew what was going on. And yeah, Eric and I went to this place downtown, which is actually awesome. I got to give them a shout out. They're called Cocoon, and they do these baths that are they're extra, they give you extra H2O. I mean, not H2O, that's water. Extra oxygen in the water. So just extra O. And it's amazing. And they're so relaxing. And for some reason, it's just like special water. And we did that. We got toilet paper. We got frozen yogurt.
Yeah, I don't want people to think I got it from the baths because I think I probably had gotten it before that. You know, it's just my symptoms kicked in the next day. which
Mhm.
maybe the baths are detoxifying, so like maybe it makes you kind of like gets rid of whatever meant to come out or whatever.
Mhm.
But I remember being really sick the next day, because remember I told you I think I'm sick,
Yeah.
and then you got a little nervous, but you didn't get sick.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I didn't get sick at all. And I think I've been okay, but I've also been super cautious this whole time. I get nervous about like my family because of how gnarly it is in California right now.
I know. Well, that's one thing I think I do feel grateful for, that like if I'm just completely alone right now, I only worry about myself. I'm not around any loved ones. I'm not like worried about getting kids sick or something, you know. So that's like, for me, that's why I justify still doing the road, because I'm like, I'm not like gonna go around a lot of people after or anything. So I've been
Mhm.
pretty careful, but I just feel like in March I got sick, and then I got sick again. Like I got sick twice in a row, and I never get sick like that twice in a row. And they were symptoms that really sounded like what people were describing. You know, like I had no appetite. I was like waking up in a cold sweat every day, and I was like really exhausted. And then at one point I kind of, it's not like I had a cough, but I kept having to clear my throat. Like I kept having to be like, and that lasted a while. And I don't know. I feel like since my immune system has been like crazy good. Like I feel like I haven't even, usually when I travel I get a cold, or I haven't had any colds, again, knock on wood. But I also take a ton of vitamins, and I take like, I'm just like really hardcore with self-care stuff.
What's your self-care routine?
Well, on the road I don't drink at all. Like no drinking. I had one drink on New Year's Eve, but I was like, it's New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And but overall I don't drink on the road, because I feel like it dehydrates you, and especially if you're flying, it'll dehydrate you. And
Mhm.
then I take vitamin C, D, zinc, a multivitamin, and I take apple cider vinegar. And if I ever feel anything coming on, I eat a lot of garlic.
Like raw?
No, no, not raw. I'll just like cook it in something.
Okay. I know some people that do the raw garlic thing, or they like blend it or something, and they're like, "Oh, I
Actually,
just take it down in a shot."
one time I think I had the flu like a couple years ago, and they told me, yeah, chew that you're supposed to chew on garlic.
Oh,
And it's gross, but it will take out everything. You'll just like, it'll take it all out.
that's so crazy.
Do you take
Okay.
vitamins or anything, or what's your?
Kind of. I'm kind of skeptical about vitamins these days, because certain brands, like I don't know what's in them, and I'm hypothyroid, so I'm also kind of just like, you never know what's in vitamins, and it's something that I didn't until this year of my life realize that I needed to like actually check what's in my vitamins. So,
Right.
um, there are some that I take. I take a D because I'm vitamin D deficient, just like all the time, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I have like all of them, but I kind of don't take them. But what I do is if I start feeling sick, I drink oil of oregano.
That's good for you too. Yeah.
Yeah, but what freaks me out about oil of oregano is that they tell you that you need to take breaks from it. Like you can't just wake up every day and have oil of oregano. Like you have, like, I'm like, what is in this? That's
Well,
like,
also you need to take probiotics, or you need to take yogurt with that.
yeah, it
It
like
kills
ruins your
things.
stomach or something.
Well, I think it kills good things too. It's almost like a natural antibiotic, sort of.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I do. And then if I ever feel like I'm getting sick, in addition to that, I will make like ginger. I'll get a bunch of ginger and I'll cut it up and like boil it and drink ginger water. And I'm all about vitamin C. But yeah, on a day to day, I do like collagen powder in the morning, and then I do like vitamin D if I remember. But
I
I
read an
probably,
article. I read an article, and I'm sure it's, you could be bogus, but that vitamin D really is something that prevents corona.
really,
Mm-hmm.
I heard that about zinc.
Well, we should take zinc and vitamin D then. Just
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
preventative measures.
Perfect.
I get scared about getting too cocky at that. Like I always I'm so superstitious. Every time I'm like, I'm doing great, I like knock on wood all day.
I'll
Like
knock on wood for you too, but this might be fake wood. I don't know. This is a Wayfair table.
on my floor and this.
You've had such an interesting year. Like 2020 was, I mean,
Oh,
you went through it. I feel like you
yeah.
had like the most difficult year of anyone that I know.
Really?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, other than people that died. I know. But that might be a good thing for them. Like you never know. Like they might be in heaven. Like it might be better
Oh,
somewhere else rather than here right now, you know?
it might
But
be.
yeah, like I feel like you've gone through so much and you've been so resilient and
Hmm.
like losing a family member, like that's like the hardest thing someone can go through.
Yeah, and I know I'm not the only one. I mean, so many people have lost family members this year. I mean, I guess the one thing it does give you is it gives you a new sense of empathy for other people that have gone through it. Like when people used to say, "Oh, my dad died" or "My mom died," I used to be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and like but I didn't really feel it for them. And now when someone tells me, I'm like, "Oh," like it just like crushes me because it's now I know what that's like.
Yeah. I can't imagine it. I can't imagine like
Yeah, well,
going
that's the
through
thing.
it.
You can't imagine it until it happened. Like you just can't really imagine it. And my dad was sick a long time, but it still doesn't make it any easier. It doesn't like change it when someone was sick. It's so I think it's interesting. Some people think, oh well, he if your family member was sick, then it wasn't such a shock, so it was easier. And it's actually it's almost the opposite because he's been so resilient, where it's like he's been in the hospital many times, and then he always gets better, and so he always goes home. And so when it's finally, oh, he's not recovering this time, it almost makes it harder because you've watched someone recover every other time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real. But being able to be there, and spend time with him is like such an
Oh
amazing
my God.
gift.
I am so like beyond grateful for that. I'm just like the entire time, like when I went and I like could see him in the hospital, like I spent 12 hours with him, and they were really nice because there was like a time limit on visitation, and we were only supposed to be there for like 2 hours at a time, and they just didn't kick me out, which was really nice. And I
Yeah.
just stayed for like 12 hours, and then he came home, and we had like 10 amazing days with him. And yeah, I'm really like so grateful. And I hear about people not being able to say goodbye to their relatives, and I'm just like, I can't, it's just like seems inhumane. Like it just seems, I can't even fathom that.
Yeah. Or not being able to have like a funeral or something like that. Like,
Yeah, we were lucky. We had a small one, and I think that was perfect, like for my mom. And then we did a Zoom memorial thing, which was fine. It's like gave everybody a chance to speak. And so everything about it is actually like in hindsight is like it was very peaceful. It was very like I don't know. I felt like it happened the way it was supposed to happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
How do you
I don't know.
feel now?
I'm still sad. I mean, I would say the first 2 weeks were like I can't even describe it. It was like I would just say to because I stayed with my mom for a month after, and I would every day I would just say, "Well, we made it through another day." And that's kind of just how you do it. You're just like another day, because you just can't imagine the world without a certain person in it sometimes. You're just like, "Wait, the world is without that person?"
Oh
Like
my
I
God.
can't quite fathom it.
I'm going to cry. That makes me so sad.
I know, but it's just, I mean, that's what love is. When you love someone, you're just like, no, like you just take the world for granted. Like the world is with that person.
Yeah.
And then, and I don't think we're programmed, like you're not programmed to constantly be like, what would the world be like without this person? You're not supposed to wake up
Yeah.
like with that because then you'd be like annoying, like clingy to everybody.
Yeah. No, it is really sad. Like I lost
a really close friend, for years and years and years, since I was 12. I told you about it, but for
Yeah.
the listeners that don't know, I lost someone in, I think, June. And it was right after his birthday. It's someone I've known like for, 2 decades of friendship. And like I had that same experience where I'm like, I didn't go home for the holidays, but if I had, like I would have seen them, like every year we always got together, like no matter what, when I was back in my hometown, and always spent time together. And now I'm like, well, thank God I wasn't home for the holidays, because I would have really, really felt it. And it's just really sad. I'm like, man, I'll never be able to do that again. And I remember the last time I saw this person, they were in such a bad place, just like sad, and had gone through some really difficult situations. They had also just had a surgery, and it was just, it's sad. Like they had a sadness about them. And I hate that that was the last time that I saw them, you know? It just
Right.
hurts. It hurts. And I wish that, of course, like they had months after that,
Right.
but I, and they called me after that, and they seemed like they were in a better place. But, it's just, it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's that permanence. I think the permanency is the hard part, right? Because you think, oh, I'm just gonna have this one last, conversation with them, or I'm just gonna, you know, you think, oh, I'll see them again, or I'll talk to them again, and then when you realize, when every time you want to reach out and they're not there, you're just like, oh, I guess I'm just gonna have the thought to myself, or imagine telling him. That's a lot of people said. I don't know if people told you this when you were grieving your friend, um but a lot of people were like, they don't really leave you, like they're still so there in with you, that once you like settle in with that, even though it's really sad at first, I find it really comforting, because like I still find myself talking to my dad and like hearing what he would say and things like that, like sometimes,
Really?
yeah, sometimes I hear him just being like, just get on with it.
Oh my God. I saw a psychic over
Really?
Zoom.
Oh my
Yes.
God. I want to
And
see them.
okay,
Can I see?
I will refer you, because he's
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah.
And he's the best psychic I've ever seen. And I asked him a question, because I'm not naming him. I can tell this story, but normally he's like, I don't do medium stuff because it doesn't always work. And when someone asks me like to, talk to a loved one or whatever, sometimes it can be a really weird situation, because I feel like pressure and stuff. And so he's like, I never do this normally when we are in a session. I was like, I just have this friend that suddenly passed, and I just want to know if they're okay. And I didn't know that he was like, probably he wasn't cool with doing medium stuff. And for some reason he was like, okay, I don't do this, but like, tell me about them. And he like closed his eyes and he went there. And it was like the most crazy experience ever, because he had all of this accuracy about this person, and about like, he was like, I'm seeing a necklace, something about a necklace. And I was like, dude, that's crazy, because when he died, he gave my dog the nickname that she has, Rose Gold Rip. So I got a collar made with rose gold metal, like a pink collar that said Rose Gold Rip and his initials on it, because I was like, I have to, because he thought of this name and I want to, think of him every time that I put the collar on her. And I was like, that's so weird. Cause like, he was like, a necklace. And I was like, oh, you're talking about the collar, the dog collar? Like all of these
Aw.
like weird things. He's like, yeah, he's in the ocean. And I was like, yeah, we always used to go to Santa Cruz. We're always in the ocean, in the water. Like we would hang out there all the time. And he's like, and he's telling me that he's good. And I was like, dude, this is like exactly how he talks. And I was so freaked out. I was like, what?
Weird.
Yeah, it was really weird, but it was somehow like really comforting, because I never got the chance to get closure with this person
Right.
and say what I wanted to say. And like, because all I wanted was to know, because when someone passes suddenly, like, I just wanted to know that like, he's okay. Like, is he okay? Is he happy? Like, and he kind of like brought that type of closure to me, and that felt amazing. So I will definitely give you his info.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, because I think that is that is the hardest thing about not getting closure, is feeling like I didn't get that last moment with him, and that's a really hard thing, because like I was really grateful. I kept saying to my dad, like, I love you so much, you're the best dad ever, like, and then it's like he was still there the next day, and then I'd be like, I love you so much. And then like the hospice nurses were like, did you say everything you needed to say? And I'm like, yeah, like 500 times.
That's all I've been doing.
Saying, it's like, is this the last moment? Is this the last moment? But I do have a lot of, like, I feel for people who didn't get closure with their loved ones, because I don't know. I do not know how I would have coped without that,
Yeah.
Do not know, because you need that. You need that. And I guess the only way to get it is with like the memories you do have of that person, right? It's like, you don't need the last moment. You just need you just need the culmination of the moments.
Yeah. It's
You need
like
that last.
Yeah, and it has made me think differently about gratitude, because like I feel so grateful to have had this person in my life for the time that I did have them. And when I wasn't able to like express that, like thank you for being my friend. Like thank you for listening to me and for always having my back like all the time.
I'm gonna
And
cry now too.
I know. And then I didn't get to do that or say that to that person. Like all you want is for them to know that. Like,
Right.
that's like my wish. It's like, I just want them to know that. So
I'm sure he did know that, though, I'm sure he did know that when you were together, and the fact that he did reach out to you, and I'm sure he knew all these things without you having to tell him.
yeah, I hope so. I really do hope so. Yeah, death is a really weird thing to.
It's really weird because it's so universal, and yet people feel like they can't really talk about it for some reason. Like, people have a hard time talking about it or like acknowledging it. And I think the other thing that was so fascinating about the hospice time, when it's like he knew he was leaving, is that like death becomes so much about other people. Like, it's like, they're fine. Are you okay?
My mascara is like all up. Hold on a second. I'm going to grab a box of tissues. 1 second.
Oh my God. That was like the cutest thing. You're so empathetic. You're so empathetic. You're just like, I think you're a really special person.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think you're really in tune with people, I think I think that you feel deeply.
Thank you. I do. I really do, actually. I really care about people a lot, and especially people that I really, really love,
Yeah,
and
and
like
I'm so sorry about your friend. I mean, I know that hit you really hard.
I'm sorry about your dad.
Well, thanks.
Like, that's your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is hard to not be able to get that closure.
Oh, for sure.
The other thing that I've been told by like the hospice, because I keep talking to the hospice social worker, I really bonded with her, and so we still talk. And one thing she suggested at one point was like writing letters to him, or journaling to him. So if you ever want to like write your friend a letter, just like saying all the things you wanted to say to him, that might help.
Yeah. I think in the beginning I did that. I tried to journal about it, but sometimes it's so hard. There's also a weird thing about grief that I've learned, is that it comes in weird waves. And I remember that one time I was I think the one time I did see my family during the pandemic, it was my parents, like, I don't know, it was a significant anniversary for them, a wedding anniversary. And they'd planned this whole trip. They were going to go to Portugal, but obviously they had to cancel all their plans because of the pandemic. So I went and we had a dinner, and it was the next day was his funeral service. We made a dinner at home, like a nice special dinner, and had a nice bottle of wine. And in the middle of the dinner, I got really sad, And it was a happy moment, but I felt sad. And I started like kind of crying a little bit. And then my mom says, she's going to kill me that I tell the story, but she was like, can't we just have this night? Like, this is not about him. This is about us. And I was like, oh. And I was like, okay, like I understand what she's saying, but like also that's not how grief works.
Right. It's not like you don't get to plan when you're not like, you don't get to compartmentalize, you know?
Yeah.
Like you don't get to be like,
Yeah.
I'm only going to think about this person at this point, or I'm only going to get sad when it's convenient or when I'm alone. It's like it comes out in weird times when you least expect it. And you're just like, whoa, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, like, at your parents' anniversary dinner when you're recording a podcast or something. Like
Yeah, exactly. During a podcast. Like, yeah, I remember my one of my ex-boyfriends who like I'm still really good friends with, he told me his dad died like over breakfast. We went out to breakfast and like I hadn't seen him for a while because he doesn't live here, he lives far away. And we just got breakfast and like he told me his dad died and I hadn't known. And I just started sobbing like over my pancakes. I was like, because I knew his dad and, really liked him. And so that wasn't predictable. It's like I couldn't be like, I'm going to wait till after I eat my pancakes. I just started sobbing.
that's amazing. I had an ex I had a really, really toxic relationship with, but I heard that his dad got into an accident and like a serious one. And so like the only time I reached out to him after our breakup was when I heard his dad was hurt. And I was like, I sent an email and I was like, is your dad okay? It's crazy how much like we can get connected to like ex's parents and stuff.
I know. Yeah, he and I had a good friendship. I was actually kind of like, yeah, I was kind of thinking, what would I do that if it was someone I wasn't friends with? Like, would I reach out if their father passed away? And I was thinking, I think I would. But
Yeah.
I don't know if any of my exes knew that my dad died, if they don't stalk me, but I feel like if they did know, they should have said something.
Wait, so none of your exes reached out? No one?
Just just the one that I'm friends with. Yeah.
Yeah.
No other ones. But most of my exes are, narcissists. So
Yeah, that's really stupid. I feel like that's also just like a really good opportunity to like re-slide into someone's DMs,
yeah.
See if there's anything there.
Maybe that's why they didn't. They were like, this is bad. I should just stay away. But I think it's mostly they probably just don't know because they don't, care about anyone except themselves.
Yeah. So good riddance to those people.
Yes.
Oh my God. Horrible. Should we talk about horrible exes?
Sure, I'm down. I'm always down for that.
So in terms of, let's talk about lessons you've learned. Like, what are the lessons that you've learned in love, like through all of these narcissists and people that you've, experienced? What have you learned about love?
Well, mostly with all my self-work stuff that I've been doing and like therapy, I've learned that most of these relationships, it's not that it's my fault, it's just that I didn't have the confidence enough to listen to myself to know what the red flags were. Like even though I knew them, it was like I didn't trust myself enough to be like, you already know this is bad news. Why will you engage at all? And so from now on, I know that I'm not going to be in those situations because I'm not going to even let myself get there.
That's a really good lesson to learn.
Yeah. It's like if you see one red flag in the beginning and you trust yourself, like if you're confident enough to be like, my instincts are usually right, then you don't even get involved. But if you don't trust yourself, if you're like, well, maybe I'm wrong, maybe he is a good person, maybe he's not, texting all my friends, then maybe then you just don't even engage to begin with.
Yeah. That's really good. I think that as time goes on, I also get better at identifying stuff. And I wish that my former self had been more like firm, been like, I know this is weird. I shouldn't go down this path. But at the same time, you're like, okay, well, maybe it's going to change.
Yeah.
Which is so dumb. I used to think people that like gave that type of advice, like you're not going to change him, sis, type of advice, were like just being too, I don't know, like too finite. And then
Right.
I realized, you know what though? Like this is your life and you don't have like all the time in the world and you don't want to spend a year going down this path. So like actually that type of advice is kind of good.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You want to, walking away sooner is definitely what I've learned. It's like the second someone shows me something, I'm just going to be like, okay, I figured it out,
Yeah.
Because
So what do,
most of these men that I've dated, I knew before. I knew like right away. I just didn't listen to myself.
mhm. Yeah. What keeps you in a situation where you see a red flag and you're kind of like, wait, I want to give this person a chance?
I think it's the want, like the hoping it's something else, like not really. I think it's the not seeing reality or not wanting to see reality, like the hope, like, oh, maybe this is a perfect person. And like, I think a lot of it is like you like the attention feels nice and the idea that you're connecting with someone feels good and you really want those things. But then a lot of it's just really fake, like I tend to fall for these narcissists who like will give you so much attention in the beginning and then they just fall off once they get what they want.
Yeah.
So you kind of like you can get pulled into that sort of like, oh, they think I'm special, they're giving me all this attention, and it's sort of an ego boost, and then it's like no, immediately they like drop off.
Ugh, gross.
Yeah.
So what do you want in a partner? Like, what is Erica looking for?
Are you a matchmaker now?
I can try to be. If you list qualities and I know someone that matches that up, I will.
I think I want well, I definitely want a really smart guy. Like I think the reason I've fallen for narcissists is because sometimes like they are intelligent in a psychological way, but they don't put it to good use. They use it they use it to manipulate you. But like I think if I found a guy, like the reason I'm still friend I could say his name's Jeremy, like I'm still friends with him because he's a genuinely good guy. But when I met him, I thought he was kind of like a bad boy type. Like I thought he sort of tricked me, like he was like kind of like he was like a rock and roller guy when we were younger. And so I thought he was like a bad guy. I thought he was like a, cool bad guy. And then he ended up being really honest, really good guy. And so I need that. I need a guy who seems a little bit like has an edge. So I'm not bored, but isn't actually a psychopath.
Okay.
Like a smart guy, but not like a pushover guy. Like I think people look at me and they think, oh, she wants like a nice, clean cut, like, polo shirt guy who's an accountant. And I'm like, I'm not really, I want like an edgy artist guy, but I just don't want him to be a jerk.
That's what I was going to ask you. How do you feel about dating creatives?
I mean, I think I have to because when I try to date guys who aren't, they ask such dumb questions, like, and I always get the like, oh my God, like I can't believe you're stand up, like that must be so hard, and then it's just like, shoot me in the head. Like at least artists or comics aren't so like, I mean, it's nice if they're interested, but like sometimes they just ask dumb questions about it.
Yeah. For real. What about like a writer or someone that does like media related things?
Yeah, I would be into a writer or yeah, I'd be into any of that. I mean, I'm open to like professions. It's hard to date someone who like doesn't get what you do,
Yeah.
you know? Um I don't know. What do you feel? Do you feel like you need to date someone? I mean, you are dating someone, but like in general, do you feel like it's important that they understand what you do?
Yes, I do. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I like the guy that I'm with now is because he isn't exactly in entertainment, but he kind of is, but
Yeah.
not in the same capacity that like we are. So he gets it and he has similar experiences, but he's kind of like, doing his own thing in
Yes.
in an adjacent way.
So I kind of appreciate that because it makes things a little bit easier, but at the same time, I don't ever feel like we're competing.
Right. Have you, I mean, and you've had some bad dating experiences too. Like you
Yes.
have dated guys, like you, I think we've been down similar paths, like,
Hmm.
controlling narcissists who like are manipulative and not don't have our best interest but pretend to. Like I feel like a lot of the guys I've dated pretend to be like really supportive or like I'm going to help you with your career. And I feel like once you're independent enough, you realize I don't need a guy to help me with my career. Like I need a guy who's supportive and like, lifts me up, but I don't need you to teach me how to do comedy. I don't need you to like tell me, it's like that kind of relationship is never going to be even and never going to be fulfilling.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's weird because like at first, I feel like younger me had this aspect of myself that was so I needed so much validation, or I really like craved it. It meant something to me.
Yeah.
And I just would latch on to people that gave me validation or that believed in me. And I would trust them with everything. Like, oh, you think I should do that? Okay, well, you know more than I do. And now like I realize how naive that is, and how it's like not only did they not have my best interest at heart, I didn't have my best interest at heart and I didn't even know it.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest revelation. Like, I feel like you're having the same revelation that I'm having, which is like, if you don't have your best interest at heart, you are not going to attract people who also have your best interest. Like, you have to be the first one to be like, this isn't for me, or this doesn't feel good. And then then I think you will attract the right people. Like, you have attracted the right person, but you had to say no to a lot of guys who were like not helping and pretending to help and like, but that's the whole thing, is like you should never be in a position where you like are in a relationship because you think they can help you, or you think like their support means that much. It's like that's not healthy either.
Yeah, for
As
real.
strong women, we don't, it's like we don't need that. We need guys who are like confident with themselves. But see, that's the other thing, is I don't think a confident guy is gonna want to be with a girl who just needs him so badly. Like a confident guy wants an equal. They want you to be on their footing.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes like people think that there is like this image of what a perfect woman is, and that she is kind of like, a side, I don't know how to describe it. I'm going to have to edit so much of this. Oh my god. Like
A trophy.
kind of like she's kind of like there's an idea of this perfect woman is like a supplement to a man, and that sounds kind of demeaning, and I don't necessarily mean it like that, but you know what I mean, kind of like she does things to help like their life together run easily, and whatever that means for the couple. And sometimes that kind of freaks me out because it strips the woman of her autonomy. And I noticed that when I was in more controlling relationships, even though I believed that they were trying to help me like get to where I wanted to get or achieve certain career goals, I was falling into that role because they were in a position of power. And even though they were like, no, I'm going to help you with your career, which makes you feel that you're autonomous, it's
Yeah.
conditionally attached to what they want. And that was like a mind fuck for me because I never thought that I was like that type of person. Like I never saw myself in that role. And then I realized, oh, in some like fucked up way, I am in that role, even though I thought that's not what this was.
Right. Well, often I think men, it's not like they consciously abuse their power, but they know that it's one reason you're drawn to them, is like if they're successful in their career, or they have something, like some knowledge that you want, they know that's part of the attraction. And so sometimes manipulative men use that to their advantage. They shouldn't, but they do, in like kind of sneaky ways, where it's like, oh, like I see something special in you, and I'm gonna like, I'm gonna nurture that, or help you have confidence in that. Whereas like a confident woman is like, I don't need that. Like,
Yeah.
now I realize I'm like, if a guy starts doing that, I'll be like, okay, you can call my manager. It's like,
Yes.
want to work with me, that's different. But like, you don't need to like, be like, oh, you're so funny, tell me your career goals, or it's all kind of, now it seems really cheesy if guys do that. If they like try any maneuver like that, I'm just like, okay, it's very cute.
I love that.
Right?
Very cute.
Like,
Call my manager.
yeah, call my manager if you're interested. But I do know that it is a trap. I mean, in our industry, it's a trap both ways, like men use what they have, and women sometimes fall into that mode of like, oh, I think someone can help me, or I think someone has something to offer me, and so I think they both sort of fall into that trap. But like, it's definitely a trap.
Yeah, for sure.
Not good it's not healthy. It's not a healthy relationship.
No, it's not a healthy relationship at all.
It's like, you tell me stories about your relationship, and I'm like, that seems supportive in like a healthy way.
In my current relationship, yeah.
Yeah, in your current relationship, like the way that he supports you, to me, always feels like as an equal. It doesn't feel like as a rescuer, or as like it's like he respects you, he wants what's best for you.
Yeah, and I like how I never feel like, I used to be so freaked out to make certain decisions because I felt like everything that, like, decisions that I made was like, I've always felt like I was walking on eggshells. And if you're in a toxic relationship, like, you've probably had these experiences before, but yeah, like any decision I made was like a ticking time bomb. Like, I would get yelled at, or, they'd be mad at me for it. And like with Zach, I never feel like that. Like, I feel like I can completely make all my own decisions and be like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And it's never like an issue that becomes a fight.
Right. Like, I mean, I one time got in a fight with one of my exes because I called my manager in a fitting room. Like, we went shopping, and I called my manager to, like, I was trying to kill two birds with one stone. So I was in the dressing room trying on a shirt, and I called my manager to tell him something. And so then I got on the phone with the manager, and we talked a little too long, and I was like, okay, I got to go. And I come out, and my ex was like, what were you doing in there? And I was like, I was making a phone call. And he's like, you didn't tell me. And I was like, I don't think I need to tell you every phone call I make. Like that, I couldn't even believe. And then that turned into a huge fight. Well, it's just respectful to tell someone if you're going to be longer. And I was like, I didn't know you were timing me. Like, I made a phone call. I was trying on a shirt.
I have questions about this.
Yeah.
Wait, how did you talk on the phone and also try on a shirt?
Well, I was like, okay, well, I think I had the shirt on, and then I was also like, I think I called him well, the shirt was on probably.
Okay, so you called him after you got changed.
Yeah, but I was still in the dressing room. I was just like, okay, I put the shirt on, I'm looking at it, does it look okay? Oh, I should call Bruce. Hey, Bruce, did you hear about the blah, blah, blah? Okay, yeah, okay, so we are doing the Wednesday thing? Cool, okay. Yeah, everything's good. Everything good with you? Cool. Yeah, but got off the phone, take off your shirt, put on my shirt. Time.
What? Really? Like that quick? That quick?
It might have been like, a couple minutes longer, like, because we were chit-chatting, and then but it wasn't like 20 minutes later.
Yeah, it was like a quick phone call.
Yeah, it was a quick phone call, and it was like, I tried on a shirt. It might have taken longer than a shirt would normally take, because I made the phone call, and then I came out, and he's like, what took you so long?
Whoa.
Phone call. You didn't tell me you were making a phone call. Like, literally said, you didn't tell me you were making a phone call. How dare you? I mean, that relationship was full of that. That relationship was like, don't you dare take a comedy show without my permission. Like, if yeah, like, because it was filled with like controlling behavior that was just outrageous, and for me did not work at all. Like, I was like, this is not. But then we would break up, and then we'd get back together, and he'd apologize and say like, I just love you so much, and and so then it was like that push pull thing.
Yeah.
You were there. You remember hearing the stories.
Yeah, I feel like he wanted to be your manager. That's just what it sounds like.
No, he did. I actually had two guys I dated threatened by my relationship with my manager, even though I've been with my manager for like almost 10 years. We're good friends. Like it's never been, nothing inappropriate has
Yeah.
ever happened. And like, he just really cares. Like he's just a really hands-on good manager.
Yeah.
And I had two guys I dated who were jealous of that relationship. And if I had, if I had a long phone call, they'd be like, why were you on the phone so long? Like, I mean, it was crazy. It was like they couldn't stand having there being another man in my life, even if it was my manager.
That's so interesting. I was going to ask you if you thought it'd be the same if it was a female manager.
No, I don't. You know what I realized? I just had this other revelation about relationships is that the problem sometimes has been I've traded one evil for another evil, right? I hate control. I hate being controlled. So I'm going to fall for, so the next guy I fell for was a guy who was completely hands off, like never tried to control me, never, would never get jealous or anything. But that's because he was sleeping with 500 other women, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
sometimes I guess that happens, right? You just go a
yeah,
complete pendulum
yeah,
swing.
yeah, you go, oh, well, this must be good because it's not that. But just because it's not that doesn't mean what it is any better.
This sounds like it's going to be a bit.
Yeah, that could be a bit, right? Like, yeah, you go for every time I date a new guy, it's like, let me find the new horrible thing that I haven't done yet.
It's like opposite, but equally horrible.
Right, total opposite. I thought, oh, this is great. He doesn't care, what I'm doing. He doesn't really check in on me, but that must mean it's freedom. Nope. It means he's seeing 500 people.
Yeah, but you did get some really good jokes out of that.
True, I did.
Yeah. Do you write a lot about exes?
I think I've always done exes because I did the other ex I did a bunch of jokes about, and then yeah, and then, I think I've always done that, but now I'm actually seeking to get away from it because I don't want to just be a relationship comic.
Yeah.
I want to talk about other topics. So I'm veering away, especially because I am single now and I'm not really dating. So it's just not really a topic that I'm like gonna talk about that much right now. Plus
Yeah.
I have got like 30 minutes of dating material.
You're like, I'm good with this
Yeah,
now.
I'm sick of it.
What's next? Like, what are you going to be writing next?
Um, Good question. I've been writing these blogs, which I just like doing because it's easy to just sit down and write one. And I feel like script writing is just a different animal for me.
Mhm.
What about you? What are you writing? You're always writing something.
Right now, like I'm actually trying to write a short film that I want to try to do and film somehow. But again, like with the pandemic, I'm not exactly sure when that would happen. But yeah, like I've always been fascinated with like the whole idea of women's bodies and like the commodification of the woman's body. And I've like seen the rise of OnlyFans, like we all have during the pandemic, and like making money off of sexuality and how that's viewed in society and how like that's also internalized differently with every single person. And I think just like the stigma, there's still a stigma. And I've been thinking about these concepts a lot. So I think I'll probably end up writing something short, kind of along those lines. And other than that, I'm just like reading a lot because
Oh
I have
yeah,
so
you
much
sent
free
me the
time.
book. I'm using it right now as a stamp, but that you sent me this book, which is really good so far. Um,
Untamed.
yeah, Untamed.
Yeah. So wait, how far in are you?
I'm not that far, I admit. I'm only on page wait, where am I? I'm only on like I only read the first. Oh, there's an Erica's in it.
Yeah, there's an Erica part.
There's an Erica part. Oh wow, Erica and I went, oh cool. I'm on keys, I think.
Have you cried yet?
Not really. I haven't cried yet. No. Is there a part that's gonna make me cry?
I don't know. I think it's different for every reader, but I've freaking lost it at the very beginning with
Oh, really?
the cheetah part.
The cheetah, that didn't get me. I don't really, I think analogies are hard for me to get me with the analogy thing when it feels a little obvious, like, okay, we're on, it's called Untamed, and then we're going to have a cheetah analogy right away. That didn't quite get me, but I did like the moment. To me, it was funny. I was already kind of coming up with funny jokes because I was like, oh, the second you realize you're a lesbian, then you also meet the perfect woman. Like that doesn't happen where you like I was like, it's sorry to give it away, but like, I wish that I wish that the second I realize I want a good guy, I find a good guy. Like it felt like it happened like immediately. Like I know she was married for a long time, so it didn't really happen immediately, but in the book, it feels like the second she has the realization, it's like the perfect woman walks into her life. And I was like,
Yeah. I
kind of
feel
jealous
like
of that.
I feel like sometimes we see this in books and movies and TV shows where, yeah, there's like an immediate payoff for like a change. You know what I mean? I think that's like a writery thing that we do. It's just
Yeah.
like, okay, so we're going to have like this person break up with their ex, or they decide to finally get rid of his old sweater in the closet. And then they walk outside and it's a new day. And it's just like,
Yeah, it's more like you break up with your husband and then you wait 3 years and then the perfect it's like why do things same that was my problem with the Normal show, the Normal People show. Did you watch Normal People?
no, do I need to?
No. It's
No.
it's on Hulu. It's the thing is like it's two young people and they keep breaking up, but every time they break up, there's immediately a new person that they're dating. And I'm like, how is this happening? Like where you just like immediately date a new person every 5 seconds. Like I don't feel like life really works like that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of TV shows are very unrealistic and very like the same. And I'm always shocked at how they get picked up. I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, this show just seems like it's like all the other shows I've seen before, but like one thing that's kind of different.
Well, that's like any market where they buy things because it reminds them of something else when really they should buy something that doesn't remind them of anything, you know?
Yeah, that's why when we write original ideas, like no one wants to make them. We should just write a boring idea.
I know. Well, we never know. Maybe I still haven't given up on our show.
I haven't either. Our show is great. Someone might listen to this podcast and be like, I'm going to make their show.
You know, Bruce didn't give up on it either. He's like, I haven't given up on killing it.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. My managers like it too.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it's good. Like
It's really good.
I can confidently say, like, we wrote a really good script and like we should write another thing. Like I'm not sure what the thing is. I know we've talked a little bit about like that one idea and maybe we should do it because it seems unlikely I'm going to do it on my own, but like anything on my own. But if I get into the film thing, I might try to write that, but I find script writing really hard.
I love working with you, Erica.
I love working with you too. We work well together. We actually really do.
We do. Yeah, I know. So yeah, let me know if you ever want to do any of that stuff. But why don't we give some advice really quick about like collaborating, like creative, because we've been able to like navigate that really, really well. Like Erica and I have written together. We've gone through the whole pitching process, meetings, rewrites, taking notes, and handling rejection and all that. So through that process, that can like fuck up a friendship. But in our case, it really did not. And I think that that's really rare. And like, I'm so proud of us for what we accomplished, and B, the fact that we were able to like go through it without like having meltdowns and freaking out. What advice would you give to anyone that's like collaborating with friends, or, you know, someone that wants to like work in a group environment that's like a young and up and coming creative, or even a comedian that's like, whether it's like working with a partner or working with a manager, what would you say?
I don't know. I think one advice I would say is I think right away if you're gonna click or not. Like I think you and I knew right away. Like the first time we sat down to write, we got a lot done, and we're like, "This is great." And then we were just like, "Let's do it every day." And it just worked. I think when it works, it just works. And same with my manager. Like when I first met with him, we just got along really well. I felt like I could be myself. I felt really comfortable. Like I think it's people that really just bring out the best in you, like you don't feel uncomfortable, you don't feel censored. Like cuz sometimes you and I would just like we'd get together and we wouldn't work. We would just sit there and be like, "All right, I'm going through a tough time," or "I'm going through a tough time," and we would just we do what we could, but like it was more the consistency of getting together that I think helped us, like that we would just do it every day regardless of if we felt like it or not.
Yeah, I feel like we got into a really good groove where we would meet like every weekday in the morning, and sometimes we would block out 2 hours, and sometimes for the first hour we would just like need to talk. And
Right.
then but even that second hour we would get stuff done even if it wasn't like a lot of content, it was still something. And I think that was really motivating for me because I'd never worked in like a reliable partnership before. Like I was always working with people who would cancel a lot, or you meet once a week and you kind of lose momentum and you're like, where were we last time? And the whole like process just seemed like a chore and not like fun. But like with you, it felt like fun. And I think that's the other thing too. It's like if you're an up and coming creative and you want to work with someone, like make sure that it's fun.
Yeah, that's really good advice because I never felt like it felt like work. It was always
Yeah.
just like, oh, we're meeting up and we're gonna write and oh, I missed that. And now I'm sad
I
about Cafe
know.
101 too.
I know. Cafe 101 is closing. I remember one day we just went to Cafe 101 because we're like, we have no ideas. We'll just go get
Yeah,
breakfast.
we just went and we're like, you want to just get breakfast? We did that
Yeah.
a couple times. A couple times we just got breakfast. We're like, you want to just get food?
I know. I remember one time we sat at Cafe 101 and just looked up like healthcare providers or like insurance, like, because I think you were trying to change your health insurance. Do you remember that?
I think I do.
We
Yeah,
were
yeah.
just sitting there at the bar, like finding like, doctors or something like that. And it was just like, okay, that's what we're doing today, I guess.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we did that a lot. And then the pitching process was fun because regardless of how the pitch went, we would like leave and then we would get mimosas or something.
I know. That was so fun. It was like, well, because I think that we had this experience where it's like every meeting felt like good. There were maybe one or two where I felt like we didn't really have chemistry with the person we were pitching with. But for
Yeah.
the most part, the meetings felt good and everyone wanted to read the script. No one was like ambivalent about it. So you always had like a small glimmer of hope, and we would just like turn that hope into a celebration every time. And I think that's important too. Like just make,
Right.
celebrate even the fact that we took all those meetings. Sometimes they don't go anywhere and they're annoying, but the fact that you got in, you met these people, like I don't think we ever made a bad impression. I hope not.
No, I don't think
Yeah.
so.
And
No, a
that's
couple
kind of,
of times they were like, we don't really, see where this would like fit with that. Like actually, no, a couple of times we had like a specific conflict, and we still haven't figured out what that conflict was, what show it was. But a few people were like, we're already making our show a little similar to this, but we
yeah,
love it. We love
which
it so much, we're
happens.
already doing it.
I know. I remember our first meeting was like very difficult for us. Do you remember that?
Wait, no, I don't remember it. Where was it? Why was
It
it
was
difficult?
it was with a female exec, and we were really excited because we are like, "Oh, she's a girl, she's going to get us." And when we walked into the room, it instantly just kind of felt like she was a gatekeeper. And that always really kind of annoys me when you meet with people like that, because it's like, "No, we're bringing you an idea, so like we're pretty much all equals right now,
Right.
like you can help us get this idea made and that would be great, but like
I think
you
I
don't have
vaguely
the
remember.
idea." Yeah.
Yeah,
Like you don't have
yeah.
the idea without us. Like we wrote it.
Right. Right. Yeah, yeah.
And
And
I remember being like thrown because I thought like, okay, these female execs, like we're really going to vibe with because they're going to get like the heart and soul of what we wrote. And it did not feel like that.
was that what happened?
She just had no enthusiasm for
Oh.
our idea, for our concept. She was just kind of like, okay, cool. Oh my God, wait, we should tell the story of getting in the car accident before the meeting.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Oh my God, do you want to tell it?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So one time we got into a car accident right before a meeting. It was my fault. I was driving and my what do you call it? Mirror was messed up, and I like merged when I shouldn't have merged, and I slid into the car, and the guy was really mad and like, or he was nice at first. He got mad at me later, I think. He got mad at me later, I think, because I didn't admit, because I was told you never admit it's your fault. You let the insurance take care of it, but you don't like admit it was your fault. And so then he got really mad at me because I didn't admit it, and he like left me this really mad message. But anyway, so we got into an accident and we still made our meeting on time.
Yeah, that was
That's
insane.
how professional we are.
We're so professional. Yeah, we were in the car. And so Erica and I had this like routine where we would always just drive together so we could be in the car and like talk about the stuff before and then also like talk about the meeting after. And we were looking for a parking spot. And I remember it was like we were almost there and we were both just like, holy shit, like did we really just get into an accident before a meeting? Like how is this going to go? Should we cancel the meeting? Should we tell them? Like what do we do? And I remember we ended up telling them.
Yeah,
like, they're like, how are you?
We just laughed. I was like, they're like, how are you doing? And I was like, we just got in a car accident.
They were like, oh my God, are you okay? It's like, yeah, we're okay. But like, Erica's car is messed up and
That was so funny. And then like, yeah, the whole meeting we were like, I was a little wired because it was like, I was still in that mode of like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened.
I know. It's always like really, I've been in a couple of car accidents and it's always like, it shocks your nervous system because you're not expecting it most of the time, it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah,
it's like the ultimate adrenaline rush. I don't recommend getting in a car accident before meetings.
No.
But I think we were definitely very perky in that meeting.
Yeah, we were okay. Everybody was okay. And like, yeah, my car got scraped up a little bit. That was about it.
Yeah. Whoa, what the hell? So
and I'm sorry I should apologize to you for putting you in that position.
I was okay. I had my seatbelt on. It was fine and no one got crazily hurt. I've been in car accidents with other comedians. I think I've told you this before.
Oh, I think you did tell me.
Yeah, I was in a car accident with a comedian who ran a red light and we got T-boned in the intersection on my side. So I got hit and my head hit the window. And she pulls off. She didn't have insurance. She lied about it. The guy that hit her was like a 20-year-old, 19-year-old, very young, and his first accident. So he didn't know to call the police, to get the information, to get my information as a witness. So now I'm in a really awkward position, right? Because I'm like, what do I do? And I go to Cedars-Sinai. I go to the hospital because I've had a concussion before and I just want to make sure that I'm okay,
Yeah.
So, and I want it on record. So I go to the hospital. She doesn't come. She ends up blaming it on me. She was driving and she told other people that it was my fault. She asked me to also lie to the insurance or to the person if they contacted me and tell me that she dropped her phone and it slid under a brake pedal. And that's why she ran through the red light. Yeah. And she'd been drinking. We were at a comedy show in the South Bay and she'd been drinking. And
how's her comedy career going?
Oh, it's non-existent. She's not a comic anymore, I don't think.
Why am I not surprised? Yeah.
Yeah, and it took me, I think, 2 years after that for, we stopped being friends because I didn't know if Cedars-Sinai was going to send me a bill or not, but they let me walk out after they checked me out and I was okay. And I was asking her, I was like, hey, so does your insurance know that I was in the car? Like I was asking, what's your insurance information? Like, did you report the accident? And she would just lie and she would avoid me and not answer any of my questions and say that she doesn't need to tell her insurance. And I was like, yeah, you do. There was a passenger in the car that went to the hospital. You do.
Yeah.
And I think she was doing all this because she didn't have insurance. So then what ends up happening is I never get a bill. So the friendship was ruined over nothing. So I didn't have to pay anything. My insurance ended up covering it because I guess I don't go to the ER that often. And then a year later, I found out from a male comic, like a mutual friend, that somehow it came up in conversation. I was like, oh, how's Nikki? That's her name. That's her real name. I don't care. I'm going to say it.
how's Nikki? And he was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. He tells me about the car accident because we hadn't spoken since then, that she was telling people that I caused the accident because I was making an Instagram story. And I was like, no shit, because she was making an Instagram story. And that's why she ran the red light.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
She lied. She asked me to lie. She told other comics about it. Yeah.
That's awful. So my accident compared to that was like nothing.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, at least you took responsibility. You said you're sorry and everyone was fine. It was all good. I was like, I would get in another accident with you. Like, it's fine.
Don't say that, Erin. Don't
do it again. Okay, knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Do you know, on another note, I once got 3 flat tires driving to San Francisco.
Wait, like every tire?
Like, it was 1 tire twice because they sold me a bum tire. So first I got 1 flat tire and I pulled over into a tire shop, and it was a used tire shop, I guess. And I think they purposely sold me a bad tire. And so I had another flat tire of the same tire. And then I changed that tire. And then I got a 3rd flat tire of a different tire.
Oh my God, no.
All on my way to perform in San Francisco.
What a nightmare.
Yeah, that was crazy.
But you were okay.
Yeah, no, I was totally fine, but oh my God. It was like, I couldn't even believe it. I was like, 3? Like, 1 is bad enough. I got 3. The light just kept going on. The light that like comes on when you get a flat tire was like on. I was like, there's no way. And then like, sure enough, my car would like go down, and I was like, oh my God.
No. Okay. Well, I mean, that sucks. I don't even know what to say. I'm just like,
we've survived a lot, Erin. We've survived a lot.
Yeah, you know what? We really have.
Yeah.
I'm proud of us both, actually.
I am too.
We've survived like
love.
Going, Yeah, love gone wrong. We've survived like loss and grief, and we've navigated entertainment for freaking about a decade or more.
Yep.
Yeah. Go us.
We should be proud of ourselves.
Good. I feel like this is a really good place to end the podcast, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, good for us. Let's feel good about what we've accomplished and all the trials and tribulations, that we've had to face in the process.
Yes. I think that's a good message for everyone out there, because I feel like this is probably, 2020 and 2021 are probably going to be really, really rough years for many people. And I think that it is important to remember the things that you have overcome, and whether they are extremely traumatic or whether it's just like hanging in there and doing your best. And even if it's stuff that happened in the past that got you the place that you are today, like you're there for a reason, and have gratitude and don't beat yourself up, and remember that you're a badass and a survivor.
Yes, exactly. It's half of it's just surviving,
Yeah, no joke.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Hot Pizza Ass. I had so much fun talking to Erica, and I am excited to hear all of your favorite takeaways from this episode. If you enjoyed this, please take a second to review us on iTunes. Give us 5 stars. That's how we grow, and it is completely free. It's all I ask. Unless you did feel like supporting me on Patreon, which you could do. Go to patreon.com/ErinDarling, where you can support the podcast as well and get bonus content. Thank you guys so much. Love you from the bottom of my heart. Have a wonderful day. I'm Erin Darling Teralva.